Alright, y'all, the next episode of House of the Dragon is starting tomorrow, so let's go over everything that happened in Season 2, Episode 1. First things first, we visit the Wall, where Jacaerys is actually talking to Cregan Stark, hoping to solidify his support for his mother Rhaenyra for the upcoming war. He lets Jacaerys know that there is concern with lending his men for the war just because of the fact that there are potential threats that he has to prepare for, like the wildling raids, and as he so cryptically puts it, potentially even worse dangers from beyond the Wall. However, to honor his father's word that he gave to the Targaryens when he was still alive, he offers several thousand graybeards, aka older men but who are still capable fighters. So, mission success for Jacaerys. But there is no time to celebrate because news has finally caught up to him. Jacaerys learns of Lucerys' death over at Storm's End. In the next scene, Rhaenys and her dragon Meleys arrives to Dragonstone in hopes to rest after patrolling the seas. However, Daemon has other plans. He wants Rhaenys to get back on her dragon to go with him to kill Vhagar. Rhaenys refuses and says that she and her dragon are just too exhausted to keep traveling after patrolling hundreds of miles. However, this excuse is not good enough for Daemon. She then goes on to say that even if she did go with him to help, even in a 2 versus 1 against Vhagar, there is still a high improbability of success. Daemon then shifts the conversation to the topic of Rhaenyra, and his frustration with her being absent this entire time. And this is where it's revealed that she's been gone for days because she's been looking for Luke's body, or any physical evidence whatsoever that he's truly dead. Rhaenys sympathizes with Rhaenyra's actions, saying that she felt the same way when she lost Laena, and that none of it felt real to her until she saw her remains. And even after hearing about his late wife Laena, Daemon still isn't satisfied and refuses to understand, and decides to shift the blame onto Rhaenys instead, by saying that this all could have been avoided if she had just killed King Aegon and the rest of the Greens during his coronation. He then tries to command her one more time to come with him to slay Vhagar. She refuses once again and begins to walk away.
It is a command.
Where she then says,
"Would that you were the king."
Moving on to Driftmark, Lord Corlys is seeing how the repairs are coming along with his ship. There he meets Alan of Hull, who reports that full restoration of his ship will take weeks. Corlys notes the urgency of getting the ships repaired as soon as possible in order to support the blockade, and then Alan says that he'll speak to his brother to see what they can do. Alan then gives Corlys a dagger that he had ordered as a gift for Luke, in honor of him being his heir. It's also revealed that Alan was the one who saved Corlys during the naval ambush that he experienced. And he also makes clear that he didn't do this for a reward, but instead he did it because he thought it was his duty. Over at King's Landing, King Aegon is visiting Helaena, looking for his son Jaehaerys so he can take him to the small council meeting. This is all to properly prepare Jaehaerys to become his next heir. And to that, Helaena just straight up asks him, what if their son doesn't want to become king? And in response, he just simply disregards the question. When he begins to leave, she proceeds to express her fear of not dragon attacks, but instead of rats. This of course confuses everyone, and they begin to look around for any sightings of rats. Then once again, he shrugs off her worries and leaves. Checking in with Alicent, she is having relations with Criston Cole. After they're done, she firmly tells him that they can't do this again. Then they both head to the small council meeting. We learn that they have gained both favor and also troops in both Old Town and also Golden Tooth. As for the letters they sent to both Dragonstone and Driftmark, since they have not received a response, they just automatically assume that they are on the side of Rhaenyra, which is correct. After King Aegon dismisses Jaehaerys after playing with Tyland's meeting marker, they begin to discuss what to do about the blockade that the Valyrians have set up. While most are proposing that they ally with Dalton Greyjoy, Aegon just simply proposes that they burn the fleet in the blockade. And as for how they'll accomplish that, they'll just take Vhagar and Sunfire and set fire to the Riverlands. Alicent disagrees, and also Criston Cole takes her side by saying that this would put King Aegon in danger if he went himself. After the meeting, Loras goes to see Alicent. He says that he's done interrogating all of the council servants and says that he believes he's found all the spies. And by found, he means killed. In the next scene, we check in with Rhaenyra, and she sees that a small fishing boat has pulled up with something in their nets, and they say that they found a dragon wing. She flies over with Syrax to see the proof for herself. As all the fishermen run away, she dismounts from Syrax and heads straight towards the fisher's net. And there she finds parts of Luke's cloak as well as Arax's wing. Finally finding the proof she needed, she, along with her dragon Syrax, begin to grieve.
Hey, King Aegon!
Aegon sits on the Iron Throne and listens to the daily petitions. He tries to actually be a good king here and listen and be sympathetic to people and their issues. However, Otto is found correcting him quite a lot because he's just unsure on how to actually solve their problems. Though he does actually try to appease the people by meeting their requests, his decisions are overshadowed by his inexperience. After Aegon is done listening to the daily petitions, Larys pulls him aside. He puts the thought into his head that he isn't going to be taken seriously as a true king if he is not seen as an independent thinker, but rather just another mouthpiece to mimic his grandfather. Over at Dragonstone, we see that the Valyrian fleet intercepts the last ship that's leaving King's Landing. And on that ship, it's revealed that Mysaria was hidden away, but they ended up finding her. This confirms that Otto failed to kill her when he sent people to burn her house down. She's then brought to Daemon where he asks how long she's been working with Otto, where she says for as long as they had gold to pay. She does make clear though that this was entirely transactional and that there was no loyalty towards one another. Afterwards, Daemon angrily leaves. Also, Rhaenyra has returned. When she enters the room for the council meeting, Daemon approaches her and asks if she found what she was looking for. She quietly nods and begins to make her way towards the head of the table. The meeting is kept relatively short, with the only main report just being about the state of the blockade and also Daemon asking if he can seize Harrenhal. Rhaenyra's absence to the conversation continues until she finally says her first lines of the entire episode.
I want Aemond Targaryen.
And with that, the meeting is concluded and Rhaenyra takes her leave. Daemon then returns to Mysaria to inquire about any other spies that she knows that could be in the Red Keep. And in exchange for her knowledge, he offers her freedom. Jacaerys has finally returned to report back to his mother, and it is heartbreaking. He tries to keep his personal feelings separate from his actual duties, but it's proving difficult.
Lady Jane Arryn has pledged her support in exchange for a dragon to guard the Vale.
And Lord Cragen Stark
Has promised 2,000 men.
This is what I get for doing these recordings live. Now I have to pause. Alright, so Rhaenyra is holding a funeral for Lucerys, and at the same time, Alicent is also honoring the dead. She lights a candle for her mother, then Viserys, and then, after a little bit of hesitation, even Lucerys. Now this is where things get a little grimy. Daemon successfully sneaks into King's Landing and recruits 2 men, simply known as Blood and Cheese. Daemon tells him that he wants the 2 of them to assassinate Aemond. But when Cheese asks what they should do if they can't find Aemond, Daemon just smiles. As Blood and Cheese begin to make their move, Aemond and Criston Cole are talking about war strategies. They're then interrupted by Otto walking in on them. As Criston Cole takes his leave, Otto tells Aemond that he doesn't appreciate them making war strategies outside of the small council meeting. He then tells Aemond to control his impulses and his patience. Back over with Blood and Cheese, they successfully maneuver through the tunnels. They then just casually walk through the throne room like they're supposed to be there. No one questions the rat catchers. Realizing that they're running out of time, they then decide to split up. Blood then decides to reconvene with Cheese after he hears some commotion nearby. And this is where we see he has Helaena. Since they couldn't find Aemond since he was somewhere else on the main floor, actually with Otto at the time, they had to switch to plan B. And if you remember, Cheese asked what they should do if they couldn't find Aemond. And now Cheese is eager not to leave empty-handed. He points over at the bed to show Blood the problem, that being that there's a set of twins, Jaehaerys and Jaehaera, and he wants to make sure that he brings back the head of the boy, which is Jaehaerys. Blood tells Helaena to point to which one is the boy. She tries to bargain and offers up her necklace in exchange for them to leave. Blood then snatches the necklace from around her neck and says that a necklace isn't a son. Cheese then says if she won't choose, then he'll just kill them all. Seeing no other way out of this, she ultimately points at Jaehaerys. Racing against time to get the job done, they rush over to Jaehaerys and cut off his head. Helaena then takes this opportunity to take Jaehaera and run, all the way to her mother Alicent's room, where we see that she and Criston Cole are doing what they said that they weren't going to do again. While still in shock and holding Jaehaera, she sits on the floor in a corner. Noticing that Helaena is clearly shaken by something, Alicent asks what's wrong, where Helaena simply says one thing.
They killed the boy.
And there's your recap of Season 2, Episode 1 of House of the Dragon. Wherever you're watching this, be sure to follow and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.